Imagine waking up 150,000 years ago. You have no shirt, no shoes, no jacket. And nobody around you does either. Not your family. Not your neighbors. Not the people in the next valley. As far as you can tell, clothing simply doesn't exist. Yet somehow, scientists believe a tiny parasite may know exactly when humans started wearing clothes. Not a king. Not a cave painting. Not an ancient tool. A parasite. And strangely enough, that disgusting little creature may hold one of the biggest clues in the story of human civilization. So how did a blood-sucking insect become a historian? To answer that, we need to go back to a time before clothes existed at all. Look around. You are standing on the African savanna. The sun is already heating the ground. Grass stretches to the horizon. Animals move in the distance. And among them, one creature looks strangely unfinished. You. Gorillas are covered in fur. Chimpanzees are covered in fur. Lions, wolves, bears, and horses all carry their own natural coats. Even animals living in very different climates usually have some form of protection growing directly from their bodies. But humans don't. Compared to most mammals, we are almost naked. And that raises a strange question. Why would evolution take away something that seems so useful? Why lose fur if you might eventually need clothing to replace it? Researchers believe the answer may lie in one of humanity's greatest survival advantages. Sweat. It sounds unimpressive. But sweat may have helped humans conquer the planet. As our ancestors moved from forests into more open environments, they faced a new challenge. Heat. Lots of heat. Running beneath the African sun while wearing a thick coat of fur would be a disaster. Your body would overheat. Your energy would disappear. And your hunt would end before it even began. So over many generations, humans likely lost much of their body hair. In exchange, we developed millions of sweat glands. Instead of trapping heat, we became experts at releasing it. This gave humans something unusual. We weren't the fastest hunters. We weren't the strongest. But we could keep moving. Hour after hour. Long after other animals needed to stop and recover. Our strange hairless bodies became survival machines. At least in warm environments. But there was a problem. A very big problem. Imagine a freezing winter night. The wind cuts through your skin. The temperature drops. Suddenly, having no fur doesn't seem like such a great idea. This is where most people assume clothing entered the story. Humans moved into colder regions. Humans got cold. Humans wrapped themselves in animal skins. Simple. Logical. End of story. Except the timeline doesn't quite work. And that's where things become interesting. Researchers studying genetics believe humans may have started wearing clothing somewhere between roughly 83,000 and 170,000 years ago. But large migrations out of Africa likely happened later. If clothing only existed because of cold weather, why did it appear so early? Why start wearing clothes before reaching the coldest places? Something doesn't fit. And when a historical puzzle doesn't fit, scientists start looking for clues. Sometimes in unexpected places. Very unexpected places. Like parasites. Meet one of the least popular creatures in human history. The louse. Tiny. Annoying. And surprisingly useful. Humans host two major kinds of lice. Head lice. And body lice. At first glance, they seem almost identical. But there is one crucial difference. Head lice live in human hair. Body lice live in clothing. Not on skin. Not in hair. In clothing. Inside seams. Inside folds. Inside fabric. And that detail changes everything. Because body lice cannot survive without clothes. Their entire lifestyle depends on humans wearing clothing regularly. No clothes. No body lice. It's that simple. Genetic researchers discovered that body lice evolved from head lice. At some point in the distant past, a population of lice moved into a completely new environment. Human clothing. And once they adapted to that environment, they became a separate group. Which means something remarkable. If scientists can estimate when body lice split from head lice, they can estimate when humans began wearing clothing often enough to create an entirely new ecosystem. Suddenly, a parasite becomes evidence. A biological timestamp hidden inside evolution itself. And when researchers analyzed the genetic data, they found something astonishing. The split likely happened between about 83,000 and 170,000 years ago. A tiny insect had accidentally preserved one of the oldest records of human clothing. Think about that. The earliest witness to fashion may have been a parasite. Now we arrive at the real mystery. If clothing appeared before humans spread widely into freezing environments, then warmth may not have been the original reason. So what was? One possibility is simple protection. Imagine walking all day through tall grass. Sharp plants scrape your legs. Insects bite your skin. The sun burns your shoulders. Even a basic covering made from animal hide could help. Not fashionable. Not elegant. But useful. And sometimes usefulness is enough. Yet many researchers suspect there was something more. Something deeply human. Social signaling. Long before written language. Long before cities. Long before governments. Humans were already communicating identity. Who belongs to this group? Who belongs to that group? Who is respected? Who is skilled? Who is powerful? Archaeologists have found evidence that humans used pigments such as red ochre for body decoration over 200,000 years ago. In other words, people may have decorated themselves before they clothed themselves. The desire to communicate visually may be older than clothing itself. Once that idea existed, clothing could become much more than protection. It could become a message. A symbol. A statement. And perhaps the world's first fashion. For thousands of years, early clothing was probably simple. Animal skins. Leather wraps. Basic coverings. Functional. Nothing more. Then something extraordinary appeared. The needle. Not just a sharp tool. A real needle. A carefully crafted object with a tiny eye for thread. This invention changed everything. Because now clothing could be fitted. Shaped. Adjusted. Designed. Around 50,000 years ago, archaeologists believe humans were creating sophisticated bone needles capable of precise sewing. One famous example comes from Denisova cave in Siberia. To create such a tool required planning. Patience. Skill. And imagination. Someone looked at a piece of bone and saw something that did not yet exist. That is engineering. That is design. That is human creativity transforming survival into technology. And in some of the coldest environments on Earth, that innovation may have made the difference between life and death. Modern humans were not the only people making clothes. Neanderthals likely processed animal hides, prepared leather, and adapted to cold climates long before encountering modern humans. Evidence suggests they used specialized tools for working with skins. They understood the importance of protection. They understood the importance of warmth. And they developed solutions. The same may have been true for other human groups, including the mysterious Denisovans. Different humans. Different environments. Similar challenges. Similar inventions. Perhaps clothing was not a uniquely human idea. Perhaps it was the natural result of intelligence meeting necessity. So when did humans start wearing clothes? The honest answer is that nobody knows for certain. No shirt survived from 150,000 years ago. No wardrobe remains hidden beneath the African soil. But evolution left clues. And one of those clues came from a tiny parasite. A creature that never intended to record history. Yet somehow did. The next time you put on a shirt, a jacket, or a pair of shoes, remember this. The story of clothing is not just the story of fashion. It is the story of adaptation, creativity, identity, and survival. A story written not only by humans, but accidentally recorded by a parasite.